Welcome back, Affluence Influence family. Today we're diving deep into the empire of Shawn Carter, better known to the world as Jay-Z. We're talking about a man who went from selling drugs on the streets of Brooklyn to becoming hip-hop's first billionaire. But here's the crazy part. His music? That's actually the smallest piece of his wealth pie. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how Jay-Z built a $2 billion empire and why he's not just a rapper, but one of the smartest businessmen of our generation. Let's start with the numbers that'll blow your mind. As of 2025, Jay-Z's net worth sits at approximately $2.5 billion. That's billion with a B. To put that in perspective, if you spent $1,000 every single day, it would take you over 6,800 years to spend what Jay-Z has accumulated. But how did he get there? It wasn't just from selling albums, I can tell you that much. The foundation of Jay-Z's wealth story begins in the Marcy projects in Brooklyn. Born Shawn Carter in 1969, he grew up in one of New York's most notorious housing projects. His father abandoned the family when Jay was just 11 years old, leaving his mother Gloria to raise 4 children on her own. This environment shaped everything about who Jay-Z would become as a businessman. The streets taught him lessons that Harvard Business School could never provide. He learned about supply and demand, about taking calculated risks, and most importantly, about the value of ownership. In his teens, Jay-Z was dealing drugs to make ends meet. He's been open about this part of his past because it directly connects to his business philosophy. On the streets, you learn that being the middleman gets you nowhere. The real money is in controlling the supply chain, owning the product, and having multiple revenue streams. These weren't academic concepts to him. They were survival skills that would later translate into billion-dollar business decisions. His first major business move actually came before he was even famous as a rapper. In 1995, unable to secure a record deal, Jay-Z co-founded Roc-A-Fella Records with Damon Dash and Kareem Burke. They pooled together $30,000 to start the label. Most artists would have just kept trying to get signed by existing labels. But Jay-Z understood something crucial. Ownership equals wealth. By creating his own label, he maintained control over his master recordings, his publishing rights, and his artistic direction. The debut album, Reasonable Doubt, was released in 1996, and while it wasn't an immediate commercial smash, it established Jay-Z as a serious artist with serious business acumen. But here's where his genius really shows. While other rappers were focused purely on the music, Jay-Z was already diversifying his portfolio. In 1999, he launched Roc-A-Wear, a clothing line that would eventually generate over $700 million in revenue. The fashion industry was dominated by designers and fashion houses that had no connection to hip-hop culture. Jay-Z saw an opportunity to create authentic streetwear that actually represented the community buying it. At its peak, Roc-A-Wear was pulling in over $300 million annually. In 2007, he sold the rights to Roc-A-Wear for $204 million. But here's the kicker. He retained his stake in the company and continued to serve as a spokesperson. He essentially got paid hundreds of millions while still benefiting from the brand's success. Let's talk about one of his most legendary deals, the sale of Roc-A-Fella Records to Def Jam in 2004. Jay-Z negotiated a deal where he not only sold his label for a substantial sum, but also became the president and CEO of Def Jam Recordings. The deal was worth approximately $150 million over 3 years, but it also positioned him to understand the music industry from a completely different angle. He wasn't just an artist anymore, he was running one of the most powerful labels in hip-hop. During his time at Def Jam, Jay-Z signed and developed artists like Rihanna, Kanye West, and Ne-Yo. But his real education was in understanding how major labels operate, how distribution works, and where the real profit centers exist in the music business. This knowledge would prove invaluable for his next major venture. In 2008, Jay-Z left Def Jam and signed a $150 million deal with Live Nation, creating Roc Nation. This wasn't just a record deal, it was a 360-degree partnership covering touring, merchandising, music publishing, and artist management. Roc Nation has since become a powerhouse, representing some of the biggest names in entertainment, from Rihanna to Kevin Durant. The company's valuation is estimated to be worth over $100 million today. But music and entertainment, while significant, represent just a fraction of Jay-Z's wealth. His real genius has been in identifying emerging markets and getting in early. In 2006, he made an investment that seemed almost random at the time, but would prove to be worth hundreds of millions. He put money into Uber when it was just a small startup with a crazy idea about ride-sharing. That investment, reportedly around $2 million initially, would eventually be worth over $70 million when Uber went public. This is where Jay-Z's strategy becomes crystal clear. He's not just investing in companies, he's investing in cultural shifts. He understood that urban culture drives innovation and trends, and he positioned himself to profit from those changes. His venture capital firm, Marcy Venture Partners, has investments in dozens of companies, from SpaceX to cannabis companies to food delivery services. Let's talk about his most valuable asset, his stake in Armand de Brignac Champagne, also known as Ace of Spades. In 2006, Jay-Z purchased the entire brand for an undisclosed amount, reportedly in the millions. The champagne, with its distinctive gold bottles, became a status symbol in hip-hop culture, largely because of Jay-Z's promotion of it in music videos and public appearances. In 2021, he sold a 50% stake in the company to LVMH, the world's largest luxury conglomerate, in a deal that valued the company at over $600 million. That means Jay-Z's remaining stake is worth approximately $300 million, and he still controls the brand's creative direction. But the crown jewel of Jay-Z's portfolio is his ownership stake in Douce Cognac. Through his partnership with Bacardi, Jay-Z owns a significant portion of this premium cognac brand. Industry insiders estimate his stake to be worth over $400 million, making it one of his most valuable individual assets. The genius here is that Jay-Z didn't just license his name to these alcohol brands. He became an actual owner, participating in the profits and having a say in the business strategy. Real estate represents another massive pillar of Jay-Z's wealth. Together with Beyoncé, they own an impressive portfolio of properties worth over $150 million. Their primary residence is a 30,000 square foot mansion in Bel Air that they purchased for $88 million in 2017, making it one of the most expensive home purchases in Los Angeles history. The property sits on 1.5 acres and includes everything from a spa and wellness center to a basketball court and 4 outdoor pools. Their East Coast presence is anchored by a 12,000 square foot penthouse in Tribeca, New York, which they bought for $6.85 million. They've also owned properties in the Hamptons and have invested in real estate in Miami. But beyond personal residences, Jay-Z has investments in commercial real estate through various partnerships and investment funds. The art collection that Jay and Beyoncé have amassed is worth tens of millions of dollars. They own works by Jean-Michel Basquiat, including a piece they reportedly paid $4.5 million for. They have Picasso's, works by KAWS, and numerous pieces by contemporary African-American artists. This isn't just about personal enjoyment. Fine art has consistently outperformed most traditional investments over the past several decades. Let's dive into his most revolutionary business venture, Tidal. In 2015, Jay-Z purchased the streaming service for $56 million. At the time, most people thought he was crazy. Spotify and Apple Music were dominating the market, and launching another streaming service seemed like financial suicide. But Jay-Z saw something others didn't: the power of artist ownership and exclusive content. Tidal positioned itself as the streaming service owned by artists, for artists. Initially, Tidal struggled to gain market share, but Jay-Z's strategy was playing a longer game. He used exclusive releases from himself, Beyoncé, and other major artists to drive subscriptions. Kanye West's The Life of Pablo, Beyoncé's Lemonade, and Jay-Z's own 444 were all Tidal exclusives that drove millions of new subscribers to the platform. The real payoff came in 2021 when Square, led by Twitter co-founder Jack Dorsey, acquired a majority stake in Tidal for $297 million. Jay-Z retained a significant ownership stake and joined Square's board of directors. But that single transaction generated hundreds of millions in profit from his original $56 million investment. Sports ownership represents one of Jay-Z's most strategic long-term plays. In 2003, he became a minority owner of the Brooklyn Nets for just $1 million. While his ownership stake was small, the investment gave him valuable experience in sports business and connected him with other team owners and league executives. He sold his stake in 2013 for approximately $2.35 million to avoid conflicts of interest when launching Roc Nation Sports, his sports management company. Roc Nation Sports now represents some of the biggest names in professional sports, including Kevin Durant, Saquon Barkley, and Robinson Cano. The company reportedly takes standard agent fees of 3 to 4% of player contracts, and with clients earning hundreds of millions in career earnings, this represents a significant ongoing revenue stream. Jay-Z's approach to wealth building is fundamentally different from most celebrities. While others focus on maximizing their current income, Jay-Z has always prioritized equity and ownership. He's famous for turning down guaranteed money in favor of ownership stakes. When he renegotiated his deal with the NBA in 2019, instead of taking a traditional sponsorship fee, he negotiated an equity partnership that made him the league's live music entertainment strategist, while maintaining his business interests. His cannabis investments represent another area where he's ahead of the curve. Through his investment in companies like Kaliva and his own cannabis brand Monogram, Jay-Z is positioning himself in what many predict will be a $100 billion industry within the next decade. He's not just investing money, he's bringing his cultural influence to help destigmatize cannabis use and advocate for social equity in the industry. The cryptocurrency and NFT space has also caught Jay-Z's attention. He's made investments in various blockchain companies and has been an early adopter of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. His Twitter profile picture was famously changed to a CryptoPunk NFT that he purchased for over $126,000, signaling his belief in the future of digital assets. But perhaps the most impressive aspect of Jay-Z's wealth is how he structured it for generational impact. Through various trusts and investment vehicles, he's ensuring that his wealth will continue to grow and benefit his children and their children. He's created multiple revenue streams that don't depend on his personal involvement, meaning his empire can continue generating income long after he steps away from day-to-day operations. The numbers are staggering when you break down his wealth by category. His music catalog and publishing rights are worth approximately $150 million. His stake in Roc Nation is valued around $100 million. His alcohol investments, including Deuce, and his remaining stake in Armand de Brignac, are worth over $500 million combined. His art collection, real estate, and luxury assets add another $200 million. His venture capital investments and equity stakes in various companies account for over $1 billion of his net worth. What makes Jay-Z's story so compelling isn't just the money, it's the strategy. Every move he's made has been calculated to build long-term wealth rather than short-term income. He's consistently chosen ownership over employment, equity over salary, and influence over immediate gratification. His success represents a blueprint for how artists and entrepreneurs can build generational wealth in the modern economy. Today, Jay-Z continues to expand his empire. He's exploring investments in artificial intelligence companies, sustainable energy, and emerging markets in Africa and Asia. At 55 years old, he shows no signs of slowing down, constantly looking for the next opportunity to grow his wealth and influence. The transformation from Shawn Carter, a drug dealer from the Marcy projects, to Jay-Z, a multi-billionaire business mogul, represents one of the most remarkable wealth creation stories of our time. It's a testament to the power of strategic thinking, cultural awareness, and the relentless pursuit of ownership in everything you do. That's the Jay-Z empire. $2.5 billion built one smart decision at a time. What's your biggest takeaway from his wealth-building strategy? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, smash that like button if this breakdown was valuable, and make sure you're subscribed with notifications on, because we're always breaking down how the ultra-wealthy really build and maintain their empires. Until next time, keep building your own affluence, and I'll see you in the next one.